is the Next Level Loan Officers podcast. To learn more about Next Level Loan Officers, go to becomenl.com.
Well, hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Next Level Loan Officers podcast. Kellen Vaughn here in the Next Level studio today, bringing you another episode here. And by the way, this is the #1 podcast for loan officers by loan officers. So if you're a loan officer and you're listening to this, you are in the right spot. And if you have not taken the moment to join our family, let me extend the invitation to you, and you can jump on over to becomenl.com. Again, that's becomenl.com, and you can join our Next Level Loan Officers family. And boy, speaking of our family, we've got one of our members right here joining me in the studio, Miss Jill Underwood. Welcome.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's a delight to be here today.
Well, listen, the pleasure's all ours, and we thank you for being such an awesome part of our group. You're a powerful contributor involved, and there's a lot of loan officers that look up to you and the things that you're doing. So thanks you for being not only in our group, but just an awesome loan officer out there in the mortgage world. We like to always recognize those that do awesome things for our business and what a business
I'll give you 30 minutes to quit talking like that.
That's right. That's a Kenneth Travis saying right there. So if only he was on, he would appreciate that. Well, listen, it is just you and I here in the studio today. And like I said, thank you so much. So listen, we're going to talk about something really important here. And in fact, as the market shifts and we are, really kind of getting back to our referral partners and working, purchases and that past database. I want you to share kind of some of the things that you're doing there, because I know you're really talented when it comes to that. And people listening, it's probably one of the biggest weaknesses when we talk to loan officers is the lack of leveraging that past database. Now, over the last 18 months, a lot of loan officers may have done that as the refi market has been there. But, really we're talking about how do we get more business out of that, and, both from a purchase side as well, right? So we're going to jump into that. But first, I want you to kind of just give everybody a little bit of your background. Now, I know you're from Kansas City, but the most important part of your background is that you were originally from Texas. So I just wanted to point that out. But I'll let you kind of give the 30 seconds of your background.
I am originally from Plano, Texas. That's where I was raised. And I was raised by a realtor. My mother was a real estate agent. So I grew up loving realtors. So we have to start with that. So I know that there's a lot of loan officers who don't value real estate agents, but I love realtors. So I got in the mortgage business because I fell in love with it when I went to college. I am degreed in real estate from Richland Junior College in Dallas, Texas. And my mom and I were actually a really good team together because, of course, she would send the buyers to me. I would get them pre-approved and, then she would go out and sell the houses. So we were a really good team. And so when I grew up in this business, I did learn very early on the value of relationships. That's what mom taught me. She taught me how to talk to people. She taught me that when you knock on somebody's door, you take off your sunglasses so they can see your eyes. She really taught me how to talk to people and she taught me about negotiating when I was a teenager, right? She would talk to me about how to keep everybody happy. So that's really one of my biggest skill sets. But I've been in this business since I was 21 years old. I started out as a receptionist at Fort Worth Mortgage, and then I moved into loan processor, senior processor, loan officer, senior loan officer.
And you're only 27, so really 6 years. I mean, that's incredible.
I am still very young, but the thing about this business and the reason why I've stayed on the front lines is just because I love helping the people and I love being out there and seeing the excitement. So
That's
That's
awesome.
my story.
Well, kudos to you. There's not a lot of, mortgage lifers that are still in the business. So, again, hats off to you for being a pioneer in this industry and being a part of it for so long. It's great people like you that keep this thing going. So, and Fort Worth Mortgage and all those are great stories as somebody who grew up in that market. So I love to hear that. So, and I love what you said too about the values and the things that were instilled within you. I think a lot of what you just mentioned is a lost art. And not to go off on it because I could do a whole podcast on this, but I do find it interesting to your mom's point about negotiation and finding a way to make everybody happy and doing all that. Boy, it's hard to see that a lot today. You see a lot of realtors where it's a winner takes all mentality and they have to win or it doesn't get done at all. So I think there is a lost art in that negotiation. Unfortunately, that's not in our business today. But anyway, we will save that for another podcast on another time. But you and I were chatting offline, and so just to kind of give everybody a little sense, so give us kind of like your stats, like just ballpark for us, like, hey, here's kind of where my volume is. Again, very generically, hey, I do about this many deals a month, just so we can kind of get an idea of that.
I'm pretty consistently about 25 million a year in volume.
Okay.
I've been working really diligently on increasing my average loan size. It's been running 190,000 average loan size for many, many years.
Right.
And now I've popped that up, which is super fun.
Good.
So, but that runs about, I don't know, 120 a year. It's about 10-ish a month.
Okay. Very
And
good. Very solid business.
yeah. And now there has been like what we used to call the greatest refinance boom of all time, which was not last year. There was another one. And that year I did 52.4 million. So I do have this secret goal that I have to do that number again. I have to do 52.5 before I can exit this business. But the way to do that, which I and you, Kellen, are helping, you're going to help me do this, but I do have some wheels in motion to get more people on my team, to get some junior LOs in so that we can do that, because it does take a village now. It does take a team.
You're absolutely right. And yes, and to do those kinds of numbers, you cannot be kind of the one man show.
Right.
So
Correct.
kudos to you. That's awesome. And listen, 120 deals a year is a very sizable business. That's that generates a great living, and so kudos to you for that. So
It does. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful.
that's
I'm not a complete stress monster. And I think that is one thing that's really kept me in this industry so long. I will say the first 10 years I was in this industry, I was done. I was burnt out, and I went and I lived on an island for 4 months.
wow.
I really did. So the one thing that I think everybody has to learn early on is to find that balance and to be able to take time off and walk away, whether it's one day a week or a couple of weeks a year. That's the only way to sustain a long time career, because this is stressful.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science, it's not brain surgery, but it's people's emotions.
It is.
Right?
Well, and it's the
people's
highest.
lives.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a very high stress situation for our customers.
It
And
is.
that stress will, through osmosis work its way to us as well.
Yes.
And I love what you said, because, one of the things people always ask me, hey, what's different about Next Level, or what's something unique about you guys? And I say, man, one of the first things, and listen, no shame to anybody who's won these awards or on Scotsman's Guide or any of those, but like those just aren't trophies in my opinion. Right. So we always talk about, it's not about how many units or what your volume was, although people like to know, which is why we ask. But to me, it's all about, man, tell me about your life, right?
Yep.
Tell me about your lifestyle, right? Are you making enough money to meet your needs, your business goals, your financial plans and dreams? Are you saved for retirement? Do you have money to buy an investment property? Is your family taken care of? But then tell me how you are emotionally, right? Are you, to your point, are you stressed out? Or are you living? you can doing 120 deals a year, you can make very good income, meet all of your financial needs, and live a very cool life. And that's what we want, right? We don't need a bunch of loan officers going around jumping out of buildings because they're stressed and overworked and all that. What's the point, right? What's the point of working that much and making that money if you don't see your kids or your spouse? So kudos to you. I think that's awesome. Well done on that front.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's cut to the chase, because I'm excited to know, the listeners are excited to know. So we were talking offline about your database, right? And you told me, you're like, listen, my clients don't go anywhere else.
They don't.
I build a wall around them.
Yeah.
So share with the listeners here what that looks like. So maybe kind of the size of your data. Obviously, you've been in the mortgage business for a long time, so that could be a good size number. But just kind of walk us through a little bit of the specs around your database, and then some of the things you do to kind of protect that.
And that has changed over time. It's evolved over time. But I will say that I have kept my database, and nothing, personal. I don't keep socials or anything like that.
Sure.
But I have kept my database in a very simple system for decades. And I used to do the old-fashioned postcards in the mail. They would get a postcard from me every single month. And they were cheesy postcards. I actually have a book of my old marketing somewhere in a box in the basement, but they were cheesy postcards, with just a dog with big ears that says, "Hey, I will listen to your real estate needs," just cheesy stuff.
Sure.
But that's me. I'm cheesy and I like to make people giggle. So they got postcards in the mail for years. And that has evolved a little bit. Now they get, the automatic bomb videos.
Mm-hmm.
Those go out. Database size, I probably have, of past clients, it's probably around, I want to say like 1,267.
Yeah,
but I will say I have that narrowed down. There's 300 clients that I have marked as raving fans, right?
Okay.
And so I really more like focus on those. But the one thing about it is just the consistency that they see something, in their mail. It used to be their mailbox by the post office, which I actually want to do that again. I want to get on board with doing postcards again, because I contend that everybody still goes to their mailbox. But right now it's mostly just emails and phone calls. And of course we have to do that socials thing.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Well, and I want to just pause you for just a quick second, because you mentioned your great postcards. And I want to point out, I have it sitting right here in front of me, a letter or a postcard that you sent me. And so if you're listening to this, you may not know that we also show these on YouTube. So you can jump over to the Next Level Loan Officers YouTube channel. You can watch this podcast, because you sent me there. I think that's pretty cool. You can see that, that card right there. And it just shows a little bit of your personality on this thank you note. And so I can only imagine what your postcards look like. I'm sure they're fantastic as well. And I love that idea, right? Like, when the market goes this way, we want to go that way, right? When everybody's being, stiff and buttoned up and proper and all those things, we're going the other direction. Hey, we're casual, we're calm, we're cool, collect, all of that stuff. So I love that. So kudos to you, and awesome, with your database. I think it makes a ton of sense too. You've got a big number, but you've really got it narrowed down to, hey, if I've got to spend my marketing dollars, which of my clients are getting those dollars? And it goes to those raving fans. So, so question that I've got is, so out of those 300 or 400, the raving fans that you have, so we would believe that 7% of those people move every year, right? Okay. So you've got, I don't know, just easy math, 21 to 30 out of those people that potentially are available for a transaction a year. What do you see out of that database in terms of number of deals that you get on an annual basis?
Well, it's 35%, whatever that number comes out to. 35% of my business is from past clients and past client referrals.
Okay. Or referrals. So I think that's important too.
Yeah. PCRs, past client referrals, are really big. I get about 33% of my business from realtors. And then the rest of it comes from B2B business people,
Mm-hmm.
that I've just networked with over time. They had financial planners, real estate attorneys, that kind of stuff. But, I will say this, there's a reason why my people stay with me for so long. I mean, 20 years. I literally watch these kids grow up, right?
Sure.
I make them a loan when they buy the house, then they get married, then they have a kid, then we buy a bigger house, then we buy a rental property. And sometimes they get divorced and you put them in two houses, right?
Mhm.
So,
It happens,
but
right?
but the reason, I think there's two reasons why they stay with me. And it's because I really do truly care about them and they know that I work with their best interests at
Mm.
heart. It's not just transactional. And I use that right now in today's world to sell against the big box lenders and the headset jockeys or whatever you call them. I can sell against those all day long because I really care about these people. And I tell them I will be with you. And it
Sure.
is things like, after closing, I call and make sure that they're set up and know where to make their first payment. I call a couple of months later and, I see if they're settled in, and just kind of that extra little touch
Sure.
of them knowing that I really do care. And then I really do look at my database, every couple of months and see, who's got a high rate and who's prime for refinancing.
Yeah.
And I tell them too, this is a big debt. This is a $300,000 loan, and I want to make sure that you manage it correctly, and I'm here to help you, right?
Sure.
And when you really do care, they just stay with you. And I'm good at what I do.
Right.
I'm a really, really, really good loan officer.
I believe that. I believe that. So real quick, we got a few minutes left here. Touch on just some of the things that, like, when you say bomb videos that you send out, which I love, obviously we love that technology, big proponent of that. What are some of the things that you talk about when you make phone calls to them? What are some of the things you talk about? Let's get into a little bit of the nuts and bolts, because I think that's where a lot of people go, man, I know I should be making a phone call. I know I should be doing a bomb. Well, what in the world do I talk about to my past clients?
Right now, in today's world, it's really calling to see how they are
Mm.
because everybody was in lockdown and shut down, and people around them died. And, they got a new puppy and the puppy died. I really just called to say, hi, how are you? And
Yeah.
then I listen to how they are. And then I'll make notes too. If they got a new puppy, I write down what kind of puppy it is and I see if the puppy is liking the new backyard. It's
Mm-hmm.
really just a lot of it doesn't have anything to do with mortgage. I just really check on them because
Good.
I think but I'm a girl. Our world needs more love, right? And
Sure.
everybody needs to feel love and to feel special. And that's kind of my skill set. I just want them to know that, somebody cares about them.
Well, I think that's a powerful message, right? I think a lot of us, we get caught up in, if I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, man, she's got 300 and some odd people in this database, and she's just trying to get through, all of them, and really,
And I don't get through all of them. I really
sure,
don't. I can't make 300 phone calls, but there's other ways to show that you
right.
care.
I think the point is it doesn't always have to be mortgage related, right? It can
Correct.
be
Absolutely
just
not.
exactly. In fact, preferred if it's not. And we talk about that too when you talk to realtors and talk to other people in the business. Like, mortgages are boring, right? Mortgages are boring. Nobody really wants one.
Nobody
We have to
cares.
have one we have to have one to get what we want,
Yeah.
but nobody wants one, right? If I told you, hey, you could have this house and no mortgage, you would be thrilled. So
Right.
so I think that's a powerful message. So for the loan officers that are listening to this, when you're thinking about your marketing or those phone calls or the pieces, it's less about rate, term, opportunity, and it's more about just loving on them and being somebody they can count on when they need it. Right? We kind of talk about that a little bit in CMA, really being an advisor to their needs rather than a mortgage salesperson.
Yeah. But isn't it more fun to talk about, the cute thing that their kids did
Of course.
or, and I used to send, I need to do this again. I need to order these. I used to send those moving books. Anybody that had little kids, I would send them the book about the Bernstein Bears and
Yeah.
moving.
Yes.
It's those kind of little touches. But even then, but it's so much more fun to hear about their kids or their dogs,
Sure.
or their business, right? I have a lot of business owners than to talk about, yeah, you're at 4% and we need to refinance you next year. No, that's not even
Right.
fun.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
that comes up in the conversation.
Of course.
I might be asking about the kids and then they ask me about, hey, we've been thinking about, moving or redoing the kitchen. What should we do?
Sure.
It comes up, but it's not me asking those questions. It's them asking the questions to me.
Yes, I love that. So, do you have a system for reaching out to those phone calls? Do you have a pattern, or do you just kind of grab a list and go, or what's your process there?
It's very random. No, there is no rhyme or reason for me. A lot of it for me, it's what comes into my head.
Mm,
If I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder what they're doing, then you just got to pick up the phone and call. It's like there's a
sure.
reason why that thought or that person came into my brain, and I
Sure.
have to reach out to find out why. So no, it's very random. Now the emails automatically go. That's on an automated system.
How
But
often do you send those out?
um, well, it's the bomb prompt every couple of weeks, maybe
Yeah.
at least once a month. I really feel like it's every other week. I
Okay.
don't even know,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
but
good.
they go automatically.
Yeah. So, we love to do, so just for people listening for a point of reference. So we do weekly email to our realtor database, right? So
Yeah,
things happening, what's going on, just things we can do to help them. And then we do 2 emails per month to our past client database.
yeah,
And we find that that's a really nice balance. And we'll do, a holiday card. We'll do some other things throughout the year, but for the most
yeah.
part, it's the emails. And it's shocking to me how many people will respond to those emails with, to your point, oh, hey, actually, the wife and I were chatting last night. And we're thinking about, adding on another, 1,000 square feet or whatever the case is. So
Yeah.
it's all about just being there at the right moment when that
It's being
happens.
there. It is.
Well, I love that. And Jill, thank you so much for being on our podcast today and sharing a little bit about not only your experience in the mortgage industry, but just what you're doing with your database and your stuff. It's very cool. And if you're, again, listening to this, check out the YouTube version so you can see this awesome card that we have. And maybe that'll inspire some people out there. I'll tell you something too. This is bonus time. We'll add this little tidbit in here. So Jill and I, we connected a couple of week or so ago on something else, and she took a moment and sent me a handwritten thank you note along with a Kansas City chocolate bar that I did not need. So Jill, you
You
don't
can
get
always
points.
pay it forward.
You don't get no. I paid for it, but but let me just point out that we talk about things that we do to generate business, build referrals, love on people, show kindness, and things that when that nobody else is doing, we do those things. These are a lot of things we talk about at Next Level. The handwritten note is up there as one of our key things that moves the needle for people. Like even myself, like I was super excited to get this in the mail, excited to open the package, go through the whole process. So thank you very much for sending this. And for those of you that are out there listening, take this as a bonus lesson to this podcast that if you don't have some cool stationery like this, now this is your sign to go get some. Get 50 or 100 and commit to writing one thank you note a day. I promise you, it'll make a difference in your business and just how much people respond to you. So, Jill,
It
thank
does.
you again
It
for
does
that.
move
Thank you
the
for being
needle.
on here.
Yeah.
We appreciate you, and I'm going to see you here in a couple weeks in Fort Worth, Texas. Your
I got my
hometown.
sparkly boots ready.
Almost. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. As always, if you want to join our Next Level Loan Officer family and come hang out with awesome people like Jill, you can head on over to becomenl.com. You can get signed up right there. Also, from that same site, you can check out our next event, which is December 3rd in Fort Worth. So if you want to come hang out with us for a day, we'd love to have you. All of that at becomenl.com. Jill, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. So yes, everybody, if you have not been exposed to Next Level, do it. Do it. Do it. I have been in every loan officer coaching program available, and y'all are just the absolute best,
Thank you.
most sincere, down to earth, and authentic. And that's why I'm here. Y'all are awesome. Highly
There you
recommend.
have it. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
We'll see
you.
you on the next podcast.
Bye.